Good morning, good morning. Boker Tov, Boker Tov.
Boker Tov, Rabbi Prague.
בוקר טוב. זה היום יום הזיכרון, תפתח בבקשה דף עבודה, מסכת עבודה זרה, דף י"ח. What did you see in the news from Israel today? I mean, 7 hours later.
There's a very big fire in Yerushalayim, a very, very big fire outside Yerushalayim. They evacuated a whole bunch of cities. It's very close to Beit Shemesh. And then there was a very big disturbance, and there was in a shul in Renana, they had a screening of people all the way to the left of a movie, and they fought each other always.
ביום כמו היום זה נותן טעם, ככה זה, but this is life.
But terrible. But the fire is the fire is the biggest news.
They suspect Arsenal?
No, they didn't say, but it's a very big. The highway one is closed between some parts of it and near Latrun. The worst is that thing with Renana. Okay, so you don't agree. So they're Reformed Jews. They don't agree with you. You have to disturb it and see Jew fighting Jew is the worst thing.
Every time, especially in today's day and age, to stop Bekoach, you always lose.
Right.
If you're protesting,
you're alive.
Rav Charlap, I grew up in Shar Chesed, he was the Rav in Shar Chesed. His son-in-law came to him once on Shabbat, and he told him, you know Shar Chesed Rehov Keren Kayemet.
Sure.
His shul was at the corner of Keren Kayemet and the bottom near Wolfson. So he says to him, up the hill, in Rechavia, I just saw a man watering the lawn on Shabbos. Today it sounds funny even to say it. So he went there, says to his son-in-law, get dressed, and good morning. You have the Gemara in front of you. I'm telling him. He told me that there was a big argument in Ranana. They were filming a shul, a reformed shul, and other people went to protest. Ugly fights, of course, on the screen. Rav Charlap was a rabbi in Shar Chesed. From Shar Chesed. Keren Kayemet on the corner, and his son-in-law says to him, a man, this is the 30s or 40s, is watering the lawn Shabbat.
Oh boy. The man was watering the lawn?
No, he said, I came from Rechavia, and I saw a man.
In Rechavia?
So Rav Charlap puts his, he says to his son-in-law, Titlabesh, go there. But you have to, I grew up, I had the visit. Anyway, he saw a man on Shabbat. He stops in front of the man, and the rabbi starts to cry. So the guy stops, הרב לא מרגיש בסדר, מרגיש טוב מאוד. מה זה אומר? לראות שבירושלים שלנו, עיר הקודש בשבת, זה כואב לי עליהם, כואב לי. הוא באמת בחר, הוא לא, didn't cut an onion before, you know. So the guy got so uncomfortable, he says, אבל ידעתי, אני לא הייתי עושה ככה, זה. הרב יסלח לי. אני אסלח לך אם תבוא היום בסעודה שלישית. אני הרב למטה, כן, one סעודה שלישית, another, בסוף התחילה, what happened? I mean, הוא לא עשה לו שום דבר, he didn't do anything, he didn't say one word. The guy. Saying, but today it came to a point that you verbally have to make noise, and people, of course, are looking to film you and חבל. He says that today, יום הזיכרון, יש לך בארץ, hey, there's a huge fire in Yerushalayim, a very big fire in Yerushalayim. Be Ra'anana, it's over you realize the media is showing it because it's so to say the right wing against the left using the shul to shoot a movie, whatever.
The moral of the story is you have those Dashishi speeches off.
Look a second in Avodah Zarah Daf Yudchet. Today is Yom HaZikaron in Israel. Yom HaZikaron is for those who were killed in active duty or those who were killed by terrorist acts. By now it's approximately over 27,000 total. So let's look at the appropriate Gemara. Avodah Zarah Daf Yudchet. Oh, let's start. Okay, in the beginning it's a very nice story. Everyone knows, but the other one is Tanu Rabbanan starts 3 lines before the white line. 3 lines before the white lines. Tanu Rabbanan. כשחלה רבי יוסי בן קיסמא, remember he's an old Sikh rabbi, הלך רבי חנינא בן תרדיון לבקרו, אמר לו, the Sikh rabbi says to the visitor, חנינא אחי, אי אתה יודע שאומה זו מן השמיים יברכו. We have 2 more Gemarot, and if you want, we have 2 more Gemarot, like one in front of you and one in okay. If you want, I'll give you this.
No. You need reading glasses?
Umazu,
what is that?
Umazu, the Roman. Umazu, min hashamayim yimlichuah, she'echriva et beito, they destroyed the Beit HaMikdash, ושרפה את היכלו, והרגה את חסידיו, ואיבדה את אומיו. They murdered, they killed, they destroyed, ועדיין היא קיימת. Which means, if they still exist, we have to notice and pay attention, act accordingly. ואני שמעתי עליך, שאתה יושב ועוסק בתורה ומכיר פעילות ברבים, בספר תורה מונח. Means publicly you're doing the opposite. I understand in your basement, if you're teaching, I understand. But at the end of the story, of course, he's the one who's being executed for that. But he's asking him, I understand what you're doing, but publicly.
Because the Romans were picked by God? He says
God gave them power now, so we have to go underground. This is what he's telling, not public. That means a machloket gdola b'kol. Okay, anyway, תשמע טוב. אמר לו רב חנינא בן תרדיון, who is teaching publicly against, מן השמיים ירחם. Very difficult to answer. What is he saying? אמר לו רב יוסי בן קיסמא, the Sikh rabbi, says back, אני אומר לך דברים של טעם. I'm talking to you common sense. ואתה אומר לי מן השמיים ירחמו.
השם יעזור.
No, but you realize basically it's
יעזור.
no, but he's saying that I know that I put my life on the line, which later we'll discuss what gave him the halachic right to do it. But he's saying him, I mean, I know exactly what I'm doing, I'm ready. Okay, tameh ani, says the Sikh rabbi, tameh ani, I wonder, אם לא ישרפו אותך ואת ספר תורה באש. Eventually you're going to be captured. And then, to make a public statement, the government will burn you on the stakes. You and the Sefer Torah that you're teaching from. This is the end of this part. Later we'll come back to it. Now the visiting rabbi, Rab Chanina ben Tradion, one of the tenants of Rega Malchut, says to Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma, מה אני לחיי העולם הבא? זו שאלה רצינית. A second ago, you have a conversation. I am putting my life on the line for the sake of Torah and Mitzvot. And I know that I might, and he's asking him, what? But what's the question?
What is he saying?
Be my judge, or be my judge. Be my judge and tell me what's your opinion on me. You have to write an article now, like, in a minute, obviously.
He's asking the sick
The
rabbi?
sick is in sick rabbi, yes. And what the sick rabbi is answering is, Klum ma'aseh ba liyadcha. Did you ever do anything? A second ago, okay, no, but this is one of this Gemara, last time Gemara. The sick rabbi knows exactly what he's doing. Shema, אמר לו, מעות של פורים התחלפו לי במעות של צדקה, which means I put aside money for Seudat Purim and I put money to give to the poor and the needy. Rab Chanina ben Tradion was ממונה על קופה של צדקה also. So I switched. So the question is, of course, can I take now the money of tzedakah because I gave already the other money for.
Nope.
I have the $10,000 here.
He used it up already for Purim?
But by mistake, I gave the wrong money for tzedakah. Can I use the money that was designated for tzedakah?
Can I switch? Can I swap?
But remember, I gave. I decided, he says to him, instead of Allah, even though you designate the money for tzedakah.
Is no money the same? Is no money the same?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see. If you have a dollar, you're a dollar.
You say $100 for Korban Olah, if you buy grocery, give another $100, the money becomes
Kodesh. He's saying it's Kodesh.
This is exactly what the point is saying. I gave all of it for tzedakah.
You tell me if I take five $20 bills and I make that kadosh.
You say this is supposed to be.
I'm saying
these 520s.
If you say me, Eli Cowan is giving $100 to the governor, but here you say the money is. Anyway, this is what the visiting rabbi who was second ago is being rebuked for putting his life on the line and said, this is a good act I did. Amar lo.
For that reason he's going to get along.
He's asking him, you're asking me.
So he gave double,
Exactly. But because of this effect, was the money kadosh?
I was aware of myself. I gave it also.
אמר לו, אם כן, בחלקך יהיה חלקי, ומגורלך יהיה גורלי. Says the sick rabbi to him, this is what you're doing.
I wish we were doing Olam Haba.
Yeah, Olam Haba, yes. Fine. So now to understand this Gemara, we have a Gemara Makot in one Gemara. I forgot to bring Makot. מכות, but פירוש הרמב"ם, פירוש המשנה הרמב"ם. There's no מכות, okay.
Look on the left side.
So I'll tell you by heart. תשמע טוב, חבל. This is the Rambam to see inside. Because the language of the Rambam is amazing. Okay, forget. Larry, if you have access, go to פירוש המשניות לרמב"ם. Masechet Makot and the last Mishnah. The last Mishnah in Makot is Rabbi Hanania ben Akashya Omer, says the Rambam says, on the contrary, if Hashem really loves us, He should give us much. The Rambam says if Hashem really loves us, Hashem should give us lessons. מה זה רצה, הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה מצוות. Give us lessons. תשמע מה שהרמב"ם אומר. The language of the Rambam is לעיקרי התורה, זה ככה הוא מתחיל, לעיקרי התורה, the Rambam in פירוש המשנה. And if a person does one perfect act, כך הוא אומר, perfect means not to impress anyone. Not because he wants to be rewarded, because Hashem wants. Now, if you read the Rambam carefully, what he's saying is the rest are iffy. how much, how much kavod, how
Tzedakah
much,
you get,
I mean, I told you that I heard from Rabbi Yehuda Harris. We went to visit, this is years ago, we went to visit an old man, a man is at his deathbed, Mama, his deathbed. He comes to visit the man, the chief told him, he's repeating his name. Moshe ben Faricha, Moshe ben Faricha. He heard it. After you die, they ask you your name. And sometimes the person is so frightened, so he forgets, so he repeats his name. So, and there's a CD of Yehuda that says, I didn't say anything. I visited. I really wanted to tell them, do you really think they don't know your name? They have a video, of you from Bar Mitzvah till the box in the ground.
Okay.
What your name is, did you do anything new? Did you did it? You didn't do it because everyone around you is doing it. You didn't do it because there's a photographer waiting to take a picture of you. מה השם שלך? אתה מבין? What זה עמוק מאוד, ככה יהודה אמר. You understand? Says the Rambam, ככה אומר הרמב"ם. Says the Rambam, the real Olam Haba is 100% pure. Now, sometimes I teach to impress you. Sometimes I teach because I'm being paid. Sometimes I teach because I enjoy it. But sometimes I do teach because I believe this is the right thing to do. Says the Rambam, all this, sometimes this, sometimes this, are good, only they are connected. Because eventually you have the right product. But if you never get there,
How do we really know? How do we really know what our name is?
this is 1998. This is 98
You know,
years
maybe
old.
I'm Shomer Shabbat because
This
I'm
is
born
nine-
in this community. If I was born into
תשמע,
Des
send
Moines,
me
Iowa,
the chief
no
of
chance.
Rav Abramsky was the chief rabbi of Russia, near London, and he is a היה איש חכם מאוד. He says in Tanakh that Hashem appears to Shlomo in Givon. Hashem gives Shlomo multiple joys. He wants to be the mightiest king, Shlomo, the wealthiest king, the wisest king. Shlomo says he wants Chokhmah. This is Tanakh. This is Hashem says to him, because you chose wisdom, I'm giving you all this. Says Rav Abramsky, but you have to know here in Yeshivot, not there. Says every good yeshiva guy, if you ask him, would you like to be Reb Chaim of Brisk? Or you like to be the wealthiest guy in Elon Musk? Okay, at the time, of course, it was Rothschild. Okay, Reb Chaim of Brisk, Rothschild, or the Caesar Franz Joseph at that time was every yeshiva guy, but go to real yeshivot, kulam yגידו ודאי רב חיים of Brisk. So what was the challenge of Shlomo? תשמע מה שאמר. Each one of us would definitely say, I would like to be Reb Chaim of Brisk. But Shlomo was asked in a dream, when you are asleep, yes, and your mind is not operating, it's only your subconscious. If you choose to be Reb Chaim, then you're here. Yes. So the answer to your question is, this is the answer to your question. Every person has to learn to read himself, to read. I was once in a big appeal, in a Hasidic play, but big, which means if you said 1,500, he says 2,500, and I hear the guy said that to me in Yiddish. Er hat gesagt 3,800, 7,000 on the spot, 7,000. Why did he give 7,000?
Because the other guy.
No, but he gave 7,000. Whatever you want. When a plug gave 100, he gave 7,000. Yes. This is the question. This is the question. He's asking him, listen to it, says the Rambam brings this story. The Rambam says,
This is a Moreh Nevuchim.
Perush HaMishnah, Masechet Makot, the last Mishnah in Makot. You have it there.
I didn't get it. I was listening. I didn't get it.
But this is the Lashon of the Rambam. בעיקרי האמונה שיעשה אדם, מצווה אחת, לא לשם כבוד, הוא אומר, לא לשם reward, but כבר זכה בה לחיי עולם הבא. הוא אומר, and this is really what, let's see if you found one, you see that? Oh, thank you.
Sorry. Okay.
יפה מאוד. as always, let's see if we have the course in Mishnah Rambam. The publishers are so cheap sometimes. Marsha Tamid they have.
How far do you go with the perfect doing it? I mean, even if you want the Zachar, you're aiming to get to Olam Haba.
There's nothing wrong in wanting Olam Haba, but is the Olam Haba like cowboy's tape? Olam Haba, no. I'm saying the reason I want it is because I want now a piece of cake. I want the cowboy's tape for dinner. And I want a Tesla as a car. Or this is the right thing to do, so I want to get it. Understand?
Because there's a question, without Safar and Onesh, how many people would, and including me, would keep him, would keep Shabbat, would keep, there's no, 100%, there's no Safar and Onesh. It's totally, whatever. How many people are going to do things?
The only answer to your question is, at the teenage age, it doesn't exist that you do it for the right reason. There's a teenager valedictorian, I want you to be praised by the rabbi. As you get used to it, I mean, I think to myself, at the morning after a wedding,
Al tiyu kavadim hamishamshim et harav lamanal lekabel pras.
this is the real question. יש מדרש בשיר השירים, there's no פירוש של משנה לרמב"ם.
Even something, you have to take something that's totally, not saying not logical, but whatever. You need borer or something like, or you need to carry something that's not going to be any torn off, nothing. It's just like, can you actually feel is it right or wrong? I don't know.
Oh, wait. Where is it in Makot, Rabbi Prague?
Look, the end of Makot, here, this edition.
Punishment, I don't know. Honestly, I can't.
But I'm telling you, after years, it takes years and years. Years and years. This morning, my car, I have to get a new car. So I'm driving my wife's car and she has to go. She's going to Muncie today. And I said, there's no gas. And I'm really in a rush to get here. I have two choices. Who is driving the car to Muncie? My wife. But this is exactly the way I'm driving a 60th Street. I'm passing 60th and 18th. How long does it take to fill the car? No.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I have it.
The only reason I did it is this is the right thing to do.
But not Safar and Onesh from your wife.
Yeah.
No. I agree. Because you told me already there's no sacco to that.
Rabbi Prague, I have it. Rabbi Prague, I have it if you need it.
Okay, so
Rabbi Chananah ben Akash Omer Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu Zakot Yisrael Mikarei Emunah B'Torah
yes.
Ki kishiyakayem adam mitzvah mitayag mitzvot karaui v'chahogen v'lo yishatef ima kavana mikavatot ha'olam.
שום קבלה בקבלות העולם.
בשום פנים אלא שיעשה אותה לשמה מהווה כמו שביארתי לך הנה זכה בה לחיי העולם הבא. ועל זה אומר רבי חנניה כי מצוות
רב חנניה כי הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל. He gave us so many because after you do so many, one of them will be one's good. And then, but the chidush is now all the others that were not perfect, now that you reach perfect, mitzarfim. This is the chidush. Continue.
המצוות בהיותם הרבה אי אפשר שלא יעשה אדם בחייו אחת מהם על מתכונתה והוא שלמותה ובעשותה אותה המצווה תחיה נפשו באותו מעשה וממה שיורה על
העיקר הזה,
מה ששאל רב חנינא בן תרג'ון, מה אני לחיי עולם הבא? והשיב המשיב כולם בה מעשה לידך.
כלום מעשה בא לידך. And then let's explain what he's saying. Rab Chanina ben Teradyon knew perfectly what he's doing. Guys, but he knows that every time he gives a class, people give him kavod. I don't know. He's asking the question you're asking. How can I be the judge for myself? I'm definitely putting my life on my line, right? But what is the main reason? Is it because I really believe it has to be done? And I'm willing to, and of course I have the cherry and the kavod, or klum ma'aseh bar li'adcha means, did you ever do, in Yiddish you say, something that no one knows about you? This is the case.
Well, that's why the Rambam says to give tzedakah when no one knows. I mean,
Exactly when it comes to money. You understand? This is exactly his question. Well, yes. Now, this act is a proof to all the other acts.
you'd have to take off all the plaques in the shul.
But in reality, all the principles of the schools and all the Gabayim of the shul need this kavod to. I'm telling you again, Moshe Reichman, you have to read the book, he gave $1 billion in his life. There are many institutions he built, none of them carries the name Moshe Reichman. Imre Brak yev yeshiva achat, Beit Shmaya. אבא שלו, אז כתוב רק, לא כתוב השם שלו.
Zev Wolfson also.
Here, Zev Wolfson is the same.
One, you cannot find it.
No, but this is exactly this Rambam. Someone raised him with this Rambam. What's wrong is answer is, my father's name is Anit Shmaya, I forgot Ben. Come on, for the Zev Wolfson. No, but this is the Gemara Tishma, is a Yofi. You be my judge. My judge is, I know what I do very well, yes? Klum ma'aseh, klil ma'aseh, this ma'aseh, which means that from time to time in real life, you're like certain acts, they are good. Keep quiet, don't say it to anyone, take it to the grave. I mean, this story that we said the other day, yes, Shlomo Carlebach used to make a big, the holy miser of, but the bottom line is that in Europe there were many people like this, yes? If they gave very little, after they died, you realize they gave a lot, and they gave it to another person. What did they do? They did not want, and you want to... But you have to be raised. There's a value like this in the world today. It's the exact opposite. Why should I?
So a few months ago, they had a dinner honoring all the ex-Kohanim presidents.
Yeah.
Very nice ceremony. They made good. So a guy comes over to me, he tells me, Mabruk, this and that. I said, thank you, but why'd they have to honor the other 8 idiots?
Yeah, guy says. No, but this is the point. Anyway, look further. This is Judaism at its best. Yes. I'm asking you a simple question, Sam. All the children should live under 20 years. Your son has a choice. He's a genius. The Arab says to you, you can go to computers. I mean, I have a first course, Mamash first. The 2 sons were super geniuses. She has a doctorate in math and her husband doctorate in physics. I mean, this is what the army told them. You want to volunteer to a fighting brigade, it's very nice. If you're not doing anything for the state, you want to help the state of Israel, we need your brain, we need computers. I'm asking you, all these kids, yeah, why did they volunteer to fight in brigades? Sugar, your chances to die are zillion times. The answer is because they really believe that this is the right thing to do.
Well, that's your story from last night. Ana Avda. That's the end of it.
No, but this I told them last night. I told them
it's a terrible.
In school, went to Israel in the 80s. He was in Kerem B'Yavne in 1982 when Israel invaded Lebanon. So his classmate told him that when the entire group was ready to go into Lebanon, one of them got up here, picked up a chumash, and he read all the Pesukim like the Kohen. That's fine. Then all the religious boys in the unit started to dance. So the guy, when he came back, told him, איזה שיר אתה חושב שם? I mean, you realize.
Let anybody guess now. Ask now what they would guess.
Yes, if you me, I would say, אל תירא מפחד פתאום. Don't be afraid. אנא עבדה דקות שומרים. And they made such, slowly it says, all the non-religious soldiers joined them. And the commander of the platoon said, אף פעם לא ראיתי דבר כזה, כן? זאת אומרת, תשמע טוב, הם לא שרים, אני מאמין בהשם, שאני בא הביתה בחזרה. I'm a slave of God, I'm a servant of God. This Gemara, ממש. Most of the young kids, and I'm talking from Yeshivot Esther, when people in the 50s volunteer to this is the Holocaust, never again. We have to show that never again dream is gone. Right? Why are they volunteering? The non-religious are not. They are going to high-tech.
So the Rambam says one mitzvah perfect. We're talking about mitzvah aseh. They're not talking about
לא
lot aseh.
תעשה, לא תעשה, the word is only aseh.
Aseh. The mass
Okay.
we only have 60 aseh.
Okay, but the 60, take one and perfect. I mean, I tell
Also, yesh konel lamo b'sha'a achat.
is what yesh koneh.
That's exactly what it is.
This is it. I'm saying like this. You're on a plane now. You have a choice to press the button and see a good movie or music or כל השטויות האלה, or take out the Mishnah for 5 minutes. They are called. There's no other reason you're doing it. But
Okay, so
Sam is trying to negotiate one mitzvah.
I'm working with Joel Wallowski. Joel Wallowski wrote a Haggadah, the American historical Haggadah from 1654 to Abraham Lincoln. And it stopped. So I said, send it to me. I said, I like it, but I want to make it more American, less the Derush of the rabbi from 1840. He said, why do you want to do this? If I get elected, I want to give it to every member of the assembly.
Oh, wow.
Because in the beginning, the first story is George Washington's thing to the Jewish people. George Washington wrote a letter to Newport, Rhode Island, Providence, about religious freedom, the seeds of Abraham. He writes beautifully. Okay. The next story is John Adams, President John Adams, saying the Jewish people are the greatest people ever on God's face of the earth. John Adams.
Adam said it.
A whole letter.
Yeah, Rabbi Soloveitchik has a whole series on it.
Okay, so now, whatever, we're working, we bought some book, he found the guy, a PhD in American Jewish history, he's gonna help us make the Haggadah. I said, but do you understand, we're gonna write edited by Joel, this guy, and Sam Sutton. Otherwise, why am I sending it? Yeah, okay. So now in the current Haggadah is a story about a Jew, a Confederate soldier on Pesach.
Yeah, it's grand.
$2. He's at the war. He's on the battlefield. He spent $2 to buy matzah.
This is
Wait. How much is matzah today?
Wow.
It's
like $2,000.
How much did they earn in 1863? $18.
A
Month.
month. You release $2 out of 18 a month for
The
matzah.
whole month for matzah at the war.
This is cool. No, but it.
So I'm going to write a little introduction to this.
לא, תביא את הרמב"ם הזה, תכתוב a note at the bottom.
Okay, that's too religious for me. No, for this book, for the purpose of this book.
No, my money.
So I said, Joel, listen to this. We're going to add this. Dayenu. Everything has to link to something. Dayenu. Dayenu, that we came to America and they gave us religious freedom. Dayenu, they came to America, they let us vote. Dayenu, they went to America, they let us own land. Dayenu, everything that they had us in Europe.
That's the book Profiles in Courage that Kennedy wrote. It's the same idea.
Say it again to Sam.
The same thing as that's John F. Kennedy's famous book, whether he wrote it or not, Profiles in Courage.
Yeah, it's in there, something like this.
Sure, that's what the famous thing with, what's his name, the Johnson who took over after Lincoln, right? There was a vote in the Senate and one person voted a special way because he voted his conscience and not what he was going to get a reward for. It's in the book Profiles in Courage by John F. Kennedy. It's
So
a
that's
same
what
idea.
I want to make.
But
thank-
he
I wanna
wants
thank America.
to thank America for what they did
Thank
for the
And
Jews.
the next thing, if he says, this chef.
And Sarna has a book, The Jews in the Civil War, so that's another source you could use.
תשמע, מה שהוא אומר לך על ספרים, תקשיב, הוא...
We follow Joel. Joel says this, I say that, I'm out. Nothing.
Anyway, תזכור, this is, באמת, it's very, this is today. יום הזיכרון means many, not all, of course not all, this is what, I mean, you remember the beginning of October 7, the guy, father of 6, פטור מללכת לצבא, פטור. He heard the war began, he says to his wife, pack me. No, the father of 6.
In 1948.
No, today.
Yeah.
He went and he heard his wife, he said, he was right.
Rabbi Prague, a Medinani tenet al Magar Shel Kesef.
Okay, this is basically the point, but I told him last night, it's very painful to see after October 7, dirty politicians are running now. So if you really build, see, this is the point. Here is Min HaShamayim
Painful
Yerachem.
to see what?
No, I mean, if you are not religious and you see what the politicians are doing, you ask me, my son really have to die. Min HaShamayim Yerachem means, by the end of the day, it's not me anyway. I mean, this is the only of the davar. If you are really a believer, a mother would say, eventually met al haganat haaretz. בסדר, הפוליטיקאים מנוולים,
See the video of that woman. That's the idea. The
Yeah.
woman in Hebron that she gives it, she meant it with her whole heart. It's not human.
But this is the point is, לא אכפת לי if it's a mistake of this or a mistake of that. It's a fact. We had in school, we had a soldier that 15 years ago, they were ambushing a house of a terrorist, special elite unit by mistake. One of his soldiers opened fire and he's paralyzed for life. I mean, but the most difficult part for me is I know that my friend who did it to me is going to come to ask me forgiveness. Can I really say to him, I forgive you? You ruined my life forever. Yeah, the guy is wheelchair bound for life. Okay, now he's big in sport.
See, Rabbi Prague, just the way you said it, he ruined my life. We already have the perception that his life was ruined. He might not think like that.
Anyway, he says, but I prepared myself for that. When I did it, I felt I was building down there. I know, but you see, if he would have said, I forgave him right away, the sheker, and the back is ever smart. He says, I prepared myself when he came in, we hugged each other, and I told him, this is not a religious man. I mean, this is a real, the nicest part about him is he shows you a picture on a wheelchair. He says, this was my girlfriend. And I was a katzin in here I am a best, I mean, at that time, it's something. Anyway, she comes and I told her, she says, I told her, it's an amazing friendship, but you're free to. He said it twice in Vladimir. She said, אתה חושב that I befriended you because of your
Legs?
It's because of you, we're sticking for life. And he showed you pictures, 3 kids. Wow. Okay. No, but this is what the Gemara is talking. There are still people like this that we, the Jewish people, produce. And this is what the Jewish people produce. Look at the second half of the story. This is the beauty of this. The second half of the story is really for Yom HaShoah, but it's good. Fine. But the Tamid is a Yofi Shomer, in Ken, Bichelkecha Yechel, this act of tzedakah now gives me a different look at everything you do, which means you're aiming for the top. But we're human.
But this act of tzedakah.
לא מראה לו, זה מראה שהוא הולך בכיוון הנכון. תראה, I would like, I mean,
We needed this act of tzedakah to know that.
I don't need it.
It's a chumrah.
No, I don't need it. But when he's asking, Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma, remember, he's asking a question. Be my judge. Be my judge. He says, I need one clean, 100%, especially by money. תשמע עכשיו. אמרו, לא היו ימים מועטים עד שנפטר רבי יוסף בן קיסמא, the old rabbi died. והלכו כל גדולי רומי לקוברו, והספדו הספד גדול, השם ישמענו. You understand? The Romans came to the funeral and they made a big deal because they needed him. Okay, תשמע. ובחזרתם, believe it or not, מצאו לרב חנינא בן תרדיון. Back from the funeral of this, שהיה יושב ועוסק בתורה, הוא מכיר קהילות ברבים, הספר תורה מונח לו בחיקו, הביאו, וכרכו בספר תורה, they unrolled the ספר תורה around his
They're killing
body,
him. They're killing him.
והקיפו בחבילי זמורות, they surround him with bundles of wood, והציתו באש, but to make sure that he doesn't die on the stakes right away, הביאו ספוגים של צמר, ושרעום במים, והניחו מהריבון.
Slow down.
Sponges on his body this way.
It won't burn his face.
Now you have to
Yes, שלא תצא נשמתו.
you have to imagine the scenario. אמרה לו ביתו, his daughter is there. אבא, אליך וכך, אבא, this you, my dear father, I know who you are. This is your end. אליך וכך. אמר לה, אלמלא אני נשרפתי לבדי, if it's just me, היה הדבר, remember, he has to give his daughter something to hold on to. Yes? So he says to her, אלמלא אני נשרפתי לבדי, היה הדבר קשה לי. I would feel bad. עכשיו שאני נשרף, ספר תורה עימי. מי שמבקש עלבונה של ספר תורה, הוא יבקש עלבוני. He's telling his daughter, okay, what you see is me suffering, but look at the big picture. It's me and the sefer fine. Remember, there's a perfect answer to a daughter. Yeah.
What's the Elbona?
עלבונה, the humiliation. אמרו לו תלמידיו, רבי, מה אתה רואה? They assume, אמר להם, גבילים נשרפים, ואותיות פורחות באוויר. This is very famous, yes. I see the physical Torah is burning, but the Torah, the otiyot, which means they can burn me.
Fast forever. Dancing.
Please have in mind that the executioner is standing there. It's like
He hears it
he's
also.
giving a class. He realized his daughter, he says this. So this, meantime, his body, the students are telling him, אף אתה פתח פיך ותיכנס בך האש.
Help yourself by fast open your mouth.
Another 60 seconds.
Yes, this is the question.
Okay, this is very famous. All the articles that Yaf
Okay,
Eliach wanted to collect is based on that. אמר להם מוטב שיקלנה מי שנתנה ואל יחבר לו בעצמו. God sent me this way, he's going to take care of me. Okay, so this is the famous toast for here. Can a man in concentration can jump on the electrified wire? I mean, this is every article starts here. Fine. אמר לו, now the executioner says to him, Rabbi, אם אני מרבה בשלהבת, I am increasing the fire, ונוטל ספוגים של סמר, and I remove the sponges מעל ליבך, which means you're dying 5 minutes earlier because you suffer less. אתה, can you imagine, אתה מביאני לחיי העולם הבא? A deal. Now the question is, what made this guy killer? He's not the number one on the list. I mean, you realize there was something special about it. To be able to have a conversation with his daughter, conversation with his students. אמר לו, yes. ישבר, יסואר, נשבר לו. מיד, ירבה בשלבת, he raised the flame, ונטל, he removed ספוגים של צמר מעל ליבו, ויצאה נשמתו במהירה, ניתן instantly. אף הוא, the goy, קפץ ונפל לתוך האור. jump. יצאה בת קול, a voice came ואמרה, רבי חנינא בן תרדיון, לקלצתו נירי, which means the executioner, מזומנים לחיי העולם הבא. This guy got filled it. No, but it's the same point of the Rambam before. Look. Bacha Rebbe, upon hearing this story, was weeping. למה? ואמר, יש קונה עולמו בשעה אחת, ויש קונה עולמו בכמה שנים. Which means, look, this guy,
with one act.
So why is he crying? Well, Rebbe is afraid that he doesn't have it. Which means, look how much every minute of life can give you. I mean, this is the bacha. It's not I don't know where I'm
Maybe it's a
going.
view with NSE here.
Yeah, see, yeah,
This is 4 or 5, how many times? did
three,
you say?
three
Three
times,
times.
right. The same Gemara is
No, different situations where he says.
different
Rachel.
situation,
Yeah.
different situation. And it's Shema, approximately 15 years ago, we took a group of seniors to Auschwitz at Maidan. In Lublin, every year in Lublin, we used to go to the Beit Midrash. You know, Lublin used to be the Yeshivat Lublin, then the Nazis made it into nursing, whatever. So I used to learn this. One year, we met Shmato, approximately a group of 25 Israeli commanders, approximately 60 soldiers, and they came into the Beit Midrash and they said, so we set them up. Flatbush student with a soldier. After I taught exactly the way I say it now. The guy with me said to me, can I take the papers with me? I said, yes, of course. Next morning comes to me and says, last night I sat with my Segel Aktsinim, and we understood the first time I understood where is the Jewish power to spell. So can I keep it in the folder? I mean, I gave them, we gave a hard score this way, because the kids had to prepare, they ask questions. It's a powerful Gemara.
So when you teach this Gemara, Rabbi, what questions do they come back to you with?
Oh, there's so many.
No, there was,
Yeah, but which ones are
depend. No, but this is the type of question. Difficult to everyone. Then your question, everyone is asking, a minute ago in the conversation, that you're giving your life on the line. This is normally.
Also, he opened his mouth. Why couldn't he open his mouth? But he allowed the boy to take off the temet. The boy has to allow what this is. Did the execution?
The other one is Rabbi Akiva with the same story, in the same Arugei Malchut, the same story. It's the same.
Look at Tosfot says here. Look at Tosfot. ואל יחבר בעצמו. יש תוספות ואל יחבר? אומר רבינו תם, remember, this is Europe now, 1100. Eicha sheyera'im, when a Jew is really afraid, Pein ya'avirum ovdei kochavim la'avira. It means the Crusaders, but
they taught you
Shelo yuchlu la'amod, but you know that you're going to be tortured to a point that you cannot withstand it, right? Or אז הוא מצווה שומע לחבר בעצמו. מי עושה מה שאומר רבינו תם? רבינו תם says, kill yourself, which means he is telling you that when the Crusaders are descending on town and you know by the end they're going to torture everyone, commit suicide before.
Continue the Tosfos. It's today's story right here.
כי ההיא דגיטין, the famous Gemara, גבי, the Gemara says 400 boys and girls, very good looking boys, very good looking girls, שנשבו לקלון, קלון for prostitution. They knew that the Romans are taking them to be male and female.
And they weren't going to kill them.
שהטילו עצמם לים. This is tremendous חידוש. Okay.
Yeah, but Rabbi, at the end he let him speed it up.
What?
Yeah.
Right. Which means
First he said, I'm not speeding up better.
That's on his own.
But you see, everything goes now. Which means, but this you realize, every time relatives come to a religious rabbi, can we speed up the death of our grandfather and fall back to his Gemara? You cannot do an act, but indirectly he says mutar. This is indirect. What do you say? I'm not doing anything. You do. Yes. You're killing me anyway. You murdered me. Yes. This is exactly the Gemara. Which means, should we give him medicine today? Don't give him medicine. You must give him water. You must give him food. You must give him oxygen. This is the Gemara. This is the Gemara. Have a wonderful day, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.